Om Jnanatimandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalatam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I'd like to read the English for that,
I was
Rob.
born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Okay, so let's continue our reading from the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Dhyana Yoga is the title. Text number 32. So last week we did 31.
Yep.
This week 32. So last week's one, 31, just let's go over that again so we remember where we're coming from. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances.
Now, can I just ask a question there?
Yeah.
Now, I know you've told us before, but again, getting this off the course, the 7-day course.
Yeah.
The super, have I got this right? The super soul is Vishnu.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. There's
Vishnu,
3 different forms of Vishnu in the universe, so that's one of the 3 forms of Vishnu. And Vishnu has 4 arms. So the super soul in the heart has 4 arms.
But Vishnu is not Krishna, or it is?
Well,
one of his forms.
Yes and no, because, I mean, he's an incarnation of Krishna. Krishna is the original form of God, the original supreme person.
Sorry, Vishnu.
And he expands himself. Yeah, Vishnu expands himself into many other forms. And so in one sense, they're all God. They're different forms of God. But in another sense, there is a difference. Krishna is an individual person and Vishnu is an individual person. So there are some, like I said, Vishnu has 4 arms, Krishna has 2 arms. So there are slight differences there. But they're different manifestations of God, so many different forms. But they're all the same one God. So it's a little bit inconceivable for us. So we worship one God, but with many forms. One God, it's not many gods. We see many people think that we're Hindus, and because Hindus are known as being polytheistic. Polytheistic means many gods. You know, like they have a god of the wind, Vayu, a god of the fire, Agni, a god of the sun, Surya, a god of the heavens, Indra. So there's 33 million demigods.
Yep.
So, and most Hindus say that they're just all God, so we don't follow that ideology that there's many gods. We say there's one God, but with many forms. So there's a difference there. One God with many forms. But Krishna is the original form. From the form of Krishna, all other forms have come from. So the first form to come from Krishna is Balaram. So the first expansion from Krishna is Balaram, and Balaram expands Sankarshan. So down the line expands Vishnu. And one of those Vishnus expands into everyone's heart.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, the super soul, you could also call the super soul Vishnu in the heart, or the super soul in the heart. So the yogi, practicing this Astanga yoga process, he's worshipping the super soul. He's serving the super soul, and how he's doing that is through meditation. So he's visualizing the form of God in the heart, Vishnu. He's meditating on that form in the heart, and he's in his mind. That's what we were talking about last week. So his service is in the mind.
Right.
His service is in the mind. Like we do service in the temple, with our body. We make a garland and we do an arti and we sing with our body and do all kind of things with our body. But this meditation kind of yoga, mainly they're active with the mind. So they might do an arti within their mind.
Yeah.
They may offer food in their mind, all these things. So, but mainly it's in the mind. So they'll be sitting in the forest and then pretty much not do anything with their body. They're just sitting down in samadhi in a trance-like state, but they're very active with their mind. So they're always thinking about this beautiful form of Vishnu in the heart, meditating on that form. So that's the process there.
Okay. Now, can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Please. While I've got a chance, so I'm not interrupting with the other ones. The three types of karma, one is Kriyaman, one is Sanskrit. Have I got that right?
What is
it Sanchit? The three sorts of karma.
Three sorts of karma.
Yeah, like the one that you've accumulated, the one you've carried on for this life, and then the one that you change later on in life. Didn't you tell me that?
Karma, you mean karma as in activities, not karma as in material desires, lust. So you're talking about activities, are you?
Like, what is it? Action and reaction karma.
Oh, yeah. So that's karma, yes, okay. Because there's two similar words. There's K-A-M-A, karma, which means lust or material desire, and then there's K-A-R-M-A, karma, meaning fruit of activities. Yeah, so, yeah, the different kind of activities, you've got, just call it karma, which is activities that are performed following the scriptural rules. So following the Vedic rules. If you follow those Vedic rules and work according to those, those activities are called karma. So in many of those rules will be for the purpose of getting a better birth in the next life, being elevated to heaven.
Yep.
If you follow those rules, you can get elevated to heaven. So many Hindus, you could say, are engaged in karma. They're following the scriptures, and their purpose is to go to heaven, like that. And then there's vikarma. Vikarma, so that's VI in front of the karma.
Vikarma, okay.
Yeah, vikarma, VI. V for Victor. I for ice cream, vikarma. That means sinful activities. So that means you're performing activities, but not following the scriptures. So you're just speculating with your fertile brain what you want to do. I'm going to, make a lot of money through selling meat. Set up a butchery shop. I set up a butcher shop and sell, dead cows and everything like that.
Yep.
So that's vikarma, that's sinful activity. Or I'm going to set up a brothel and make money from that, or a liquor shop, or a casino, like that. So these are all sinful activities.
Yep.
So one's engaging in these kind of things.
Yep.
That's called sinful activity, vikarma. And then there's akarma, so just karma with an A in front.
Akarma.
So akarma. See, karma means activity, and if you put an A in front, gives it the opposite meaning. So it means no activity. It doesn't actually mean no activity, but it means no reaction, because every activity generally in the material world produces a reaction.
Right.
Like, isn't it? There's that law, Newton's law, right?
Yep.
Every action creates an equal and opposite reaction. So generally, the general rule is if you act, there'll be a result or a reaction. You can't do an action without getting any result.
Yep.
That's generally not possible. So what is a karma then? Meaning action without a result. How is that possible? Because a karma means you're like this, worshipful service for the super soul, worshipful service for Krishna. Whatever service you do for God, you don't get any result because you're not doing it for yourself. So the way karma works, if you do something for your own satisfaction, for your own pleasure, for your own enjoyment, then you get the result, whether it's good or bad. So some result can be two kinds, either good result or a bad result. So, but if you do something for Krishna, for God, then you don't get a good result, you don't get a bad result, because it wasn't done for you. God said, do this, and you're doing that, so you're just carrying out his orders.
Yep.
So he gets the result.
Not to be attached,
and of course,
to the outcome.
Yeah, we're not attached to the outcome. The devotee's not attached to the outcome, because we're not out to enjoy the result. So therefore we don't care about the outcome, because we're not doing it for ourselves. So whether the work that we do ends up in profit or loss, it doesn't mean anything to us, because we don't take the profit and we also don't take the loss. So we're not attached to the result because it's not for us. Whereas ordinarily, like if someone's doing karma or vikarma, then they're very attached to the result, because they're doing it for their pleasure, like that. So those are the three different kinds of activity.
Right. Okay.
Following the scriptures, not following the scriptures, or just acting to, but yeah, following the scriptures to please oneself, not following the scriptures for the purpose of pleasing oneself, and acting for the pleasure of God, not to please oneself. So those are three different kinds of activities. Is that sort of on the lines of what you're looking for?
Yep,
and makes sense?
That's good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So in the beginning, Arjuna, his situation in the Bhagavad Gita was that he didn't want to do his karma. See, for him, that's his duty according to the scriptures. He's a soldier, he's a Kshatriya. His duty is to fight. So for him to fight, that's called karma. That means according to the scriptures.
Yep.
But he didn't want to do his karma, because he was afraid that if he did his karma fight, then that would produce a bad result for himself. But through the hearing from Krishna, he came to the point of akarma, of acting for Krishna's pleasure.
Right.
Because at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, see, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna didn't want to fight, right?
Yep.
At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, did Arjuna want to fight, or he didn't want to fight?
He was convinced to fight.
He was convinced to fight, but he still didn't want to fight. So that hadn't changed. But he decided to fight, even though he didn't want to fight, but because Krishna wanted him to fight. So he thought, well, Krishna wants me to fight, even though I don't want to fight, but I'll fight because Krishna wants it. So that's our karma. So it's nothing to do with me. I'm Krishna's servant. My master has ordered me, Krishna, to do this, so I'm going to do it for his pleasure, even though it's not pleasing me, but I'll do it for his pleasure. So that's our karma, and there's no reaction. Even though Arjuna killed millions, and this is not an exaggeration, because he was a powerful warrior, he killed millions of other soldiers, probably more than anyone else. In those 18 days, it lasted for 18 days. All the military forces from the whole planet 5,000 years ago were assembled together on this battlefield of Kurukshetra. It was much greater than World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. If you put them all together, This was more than that, but it was all finished in 18 days. Very powerful soldiers. And but yeah, so Arjuna didn't want to do it, but he did it to please Krishna. So that's a karma, and there's no reaction to him. He didn't, because of fighting like that, neither would he get the result of going to heaven, and neither he'll get the result of going to hell. So but there is a result, but not a material result. The result is that, he remains a pure devotee and goes back home, back to Godhead. So Krishna's pleased that he's done that service, and he can go back home, back to Godhead, and that's the perfection of life, to please the Lord, and then immediately we can get everything that we desire like that.
Okay.
That's very nice. That's very nice discussion. Thank you for your nice questions, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's read the Sanskrit for text 32. In the text. Atmo pamyena sarvatra.
Atmo pamenya sarvatra.
Samam pashyati yo Arjuna.
Samam pasyati yo Arjuna.
So the way you do that is you join the yo with the Arjuna. So you go your Juna. Your Juna.
Got it.
Instead of going yo Arjuna.
Yep. Your
That's
Arjuna.
why.
Okay.
See, Arjuna actually has an A in his name, but to make the verse flow nicely with the sound, they have hidden the A. That's why it's got that comma in front of the R. That means there's an invisible A there. The A has been removed. So he goes, Samam Pashyati Arjuna.
Sama pasati your Juna.
Yes. Sukham vayadi va dukham.
Sukham vayadi va dukham ham.
Sayogi paramo mata.
Sayogi paramo mata.
Good. Would you like to read the translation?
He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison of his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress. O Arjuna.
So here's another characteristic in the behavior of a yogi, in the consciousness of a yogi. So by comparison to his own self, sees the true quality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna about what a perfect yogi is. So this point of equality of all beings. So what does that mean? See, materially, we think that everyone's different, isn't it? There's black people, there's white people, there's Christians, there's Hindus, there's Muslims, there's young people, there's old people, there's rich people, there's poor people. So we're always seeing in duality, we're always seeing differences. We're seeing, the animals, they're pretty stupid, and the birds are pretty stupid, and, human beings are very intelligent. And like that, some have 4 legs, some have 2 legs, some can fly, some can swim. So we see all the differences. But the yogi is actually seeing that everyone's equal. Now, how is that? So not only all human beings are equal, of course, what we all have in common for human beings is we have a human body, right? So we have 2 arms and 2 legs, and a head, and like that, and we can talk and so forth. You know, so not only, you know, seeing that human beings are equal or anything, but it goes far beyond that, that all the species, doesn't matter, bird body, fish body, dog body, you know, animals, insects, whatever, that there's equality there. So what's equal means what is, how can you see everyone is the same? What is the same in
I
everyone?
guess,
What's the same?
would
Because
it be
it's not the body that's the same, because we all know the bodies are all different. So what is it
would it
in
be
all
to
of us
do
that's the same?
would it be to do of understanding that they have a dharma, like a dog has to do what a dog does, and a zebra does what a zebra does, etc. And they've all got the spirit of Krishna inside them.
Yeah, that's what's the same in all the species, is that we're all eternal souls. And all eternal souls are the same, meaning that we all come from the same place, the same source. We all come from Krishna. We're the same Father. Krishna is our Father. So we're all his children. So we're like same family. You know, we have different bodies, but even in the family, right? You might have 5 kids. One kid's really fat, one kid's really skinny, one kid's short, one kid's tall, but they're all same family. You know, they all have the same mum and dad.
Yep.
And there's some, you know, friendship and equality and love in that, because they all know, even though one's short, one's tall, one's fat, one's skinny, that we have the same mum and dad. You know, we have the same mum and dad. So like that's the way Yogi sees that. We all come from Krishna. We all have the same Father, the spiritual Father. And you know, can you imagine what would the world be like if everyone thought like that? Would there be wars and, you know, all this exploitation and fighting everything if we thought like that? No, there wouldn't.
Be a wonderful thought.
Yeah. So there's a verse which I'm trying to remember where it is. I think it's in the 9th chapter, maybe text 4, where it says, it's saying this verse that Krishna is the seed-giving Father. Where is it? Aham bija pradapida. I remember the last line, but where is it? Sava Yona Sukuntaya. Oh, yes, Sava Yona Sukuntaya. Okay, that's good help. Let me just search for it. Sarva. There's an index in the front with all the first line of every verse. So even if you can't remember, if I can just remember that, Sarva Yonisu. Let's just see if I can quickly find it. Yep. Okay, 14.4. So that's
14,
chapter 14, text 4, which is 60. And this by your book's going to be different.
I'm very close.
Yeah, chapter 14, text 4. Do you want to read that?
Yep, I've got it. Okay, it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth of this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father.
So there you have it. He says he's the Father of all species of life. He's not just the Father of the humans, but Krishna is saying, this is Krishna speaking, that he's the seed-giving Father of all species of life. So also 8,400,000 species in the universe, and Krishna is the Father of all of them. And normally, of course, when you take birth, you have a mother and a father. So, okay, who's the mother? Krishna's the father. And who's the mother? Well, it's said here who the mother is. That's this material nature. So that's how it's possible. That just like the father, he injects the semen in the womb of his wife, and then a child is born. So the child is coming from the father and then carried by the mother. So this mother nature, this material nature, or you could say mother nature, prakriti, is the body is coming from the mother, but the soul is given by the father. So Krishna is injecting the soul into the material nature, and she is producing the body, and the personality, the living entity, comes out. So that's the combination there, mother and father. Just mother alone, I mean, we say mother nature, okay, very good. But does anyone ever think about who the father is? We say, mother nature, where people talk mother nature, mother nature. Yeah. But okay, that's not enough, to produce animals and plants and birds and humans and just mother nature. But where's the father? So the father is God. So God is injecting the soul into the mother nature, which is nature. And then presto, out comes the living being. The species comes out like that. Like a child is born, there must have been a mother and a father. You can't have just father, can't have just mother. There's some cases where Krishna alone produces a living entity, even without a mother, no mother. And there's at least one special child like that in the universe, and that's the first one. The very first person in the universe, the most intelligent person in the universe, is Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, he's the creator of all the species. He creates the different forms. But at that point, there was no mother. He wasn't produced from mother nature. He was produced directly from Vishnu. So we're talking about Vishnu. So there's Vishnu in the heart, but there's also a gigantic Vishnu who lies down in the universe on an ocean. Each universe is half full of water. Imagine it like a big football, and it's half full of water. So the bottom half is water, and on that water lies this gigantic Vishnu called Garbhodakashai Vishnu, long name. And from his navel comes a lotus. And then from that lotus, Lord Brahma is directly born from there. So he was born only from the father, no mother in that case. Not born from material nature, just the father. And the top half of the universe is full of space. That's what we're in. We're in the top half. And within that space, in the top half, there's so many planets. There's countless planets. So we're situated about halfway up in that top half of space. We're about halfway. There's 6 planetary systems above us and 7 planetary systems below us. And below that is the water where this Vishnu resides. So that's the universe there. So yeah, he comes only from a father. And one of Brahma's names is Swayambhu, Swayambur. So Swayambur means self-born, not born from the mother, like that. So, but anyway, yeah, Krishna's the father. So the yogi sees like that we all have the same father, and we're all spirit souls, and the souls also have a very equal. Hey, Gulshan's joined us.
Hare Krishna. Sorry.
That's okay. So we're continuing on Gulshan, the 6th chapter, text 32.
32. Okay.
So it's just saying here how the yogi sees the true equality of all beings. So we're just saying that how you're going to see everyone equally is that we all have the same father. God, Krishna, is our father. We're all his children, whether you're in the body of a dog due to your past karma, or in the body of a cockroach or a bird or a fish, or You know, a very rich person or a very poor person, a very ugly person, very pretty person, body-wise. This is all just due to past karma, because Bob was also talking about karma before. So that's these differences. What, you know, you could ask, well, why someone takes birth as a frog, and some soul takes birth as a pig, some soul takes birth as a dog, some soul takes birth in a Brahmin family in India, some family takes birth in a mongrel mob member in New Zealand, or, you know, very aristocratic, you know, family, rich family or whatever like that. So that's all due to past karma. We're all equal spiritually. We're all eternal souls full of bliss and knowledge. But due to associating with Maya, with the material energy, due to different kinds of association, therefore we get different kinds of bodies. If you associate with a mode of ignorance, then you'll get a body in ignorance. If you associate with mode of passion, you'll get a body in passion. If you associate with the mode of goodness, sattva gun, you'll get a body in goodness. In the mode of goodness, what will the results be in the mode of goodness? Wealth, knowledge, education, you know, born in an aristocratic family, you know, good looks, you know, and ignorance, what will you get? You know, associating with past in the mode of ignorance, you know, ugly features, you know, not a very good country you're born in, you know, like maybe you're born in a country that's always got civil war and droughts and
Africa.
Yeah, like Africa, you know,
Uganda.
It's not an easy place to take birth in. But why is that? Is it by chance you're born in Africa? No, it's because of karma. Because of past karma. Like Prabhupada said that one reaction of killing a priest, which is a Brahmana, in your past life is you take birth in a desert. So it's not by chance someone's born in a desert. It's because of karma. So we're all engaged in different karma, and therefore externally there's so many differences there. But actually, spiritually, we're all the same. Now, I'm the same soul, life after life, but due to my karma, now I have a, you know, good New Zealand body or whatever. But if I do bad things, now in my next life, I go down and take birth as a worm or something and still, you know, and then, you know, you might do some good thing and then you take birth in heaven.
I wonder that, you know, the dung beetle?
Yeah.
Where they must be in the last life, they just end up with the dung beetle. That is, man, I couldn't believe anything lower than that. And they must be really bad in the past life to end up with getting a dung beetle.
Yeah. Unless they're in the dung from Krishna's cows.
Yeah, that's right. But they're not like they're in the
Nuga Kula. If they're on Nuga Kula, the dung from Krishna's cows.
Yeah.
Some of those cows getting prasadam, and then they're pooing out the prasadam in form of dung, and then the dung beetles are getting that prasadam.
That's right.
On the like that, so they're very special ones. They're eating some of Radha Gokulananda's chapatis or something.
Yes.
Like that. So, but yeah, it's true. So it's all due to karma. That's the differences. But of course, that's not significant. That's not eternal. That's only temporary. So a real yogi doesn't look at all those temporary things. And that's not really us. That's just superficial. That's just external. So we have to go beyond that, you know, and we don't look at that, you know. Oh, you're so fat. You're so ugly. Oh, yuck. No, but why are we seeing like that? That's not Krishna conscious. That's material consciousness. You're stupid. You know, you're like this or that or whatever. No, that is that's not progressive. You know, that's materialistic. I just one that remind me of one story with Prabhupada. There was a few, not so many, but African devotees. Yeah, there was actually quite a few when they started preaching in Africa, but not, yeah, there was some. But one of the most prominent ones, and he became a sannyasi later on, was Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Bhakti Tirtha Swami. So black African body. And he came to Krishna consciousness. He became a fantastic book distributor. He was distributing huge numbers of books, especially like
He wrote some books as well.
Yeah, so many books. Spiritual Warrior series, the Bigger series, prolific writer.
And
he passed away of cancer.
He's the one, when he gets sick, he asked Radhanath Swami to spend the 2 weeks with me. And
yes.
2 weeks there, and then he asked Radhanath Swami to write a book of journey home.
Yeah.
And then please, if you can do that. And then Radhanath Swami spent 2 weeks with him, and then he passed away. His body.
Yeah, so he's definitely a great soul. But one very interesting pastime with him was that he was experiencing some not very nice things from other devotees, his god brothers. They would treat him differently, treat him badly because of his black body. And of course, we shouldn't do that.
Really? In the Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, of course. But
really?
We're trying to be Krishna conscious, but many of us still carry our bad attitude.
If you're a devotee, with us. You shouldn't be. If you look at that,
shouldn't,
you're not a devotee.
Shouldn't doesn't mean don't. Shouldn't means we shouldn't, but we still do it.
Well, so there's not devotee then.
Yeah, really we should say I'm trying to be a devotee. None of us should say I'm a devotee, because if you say I'm a devotee, that's very high.
Yeah.
If you say you're a devotee, means when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, then tears should come out of your eyes. If they don't, then you should really say I'm trying to be a devotee. Because it means devotee means you have love for Krishna. Love for Krishna means you're always in bliss and ecstasy, and you're not going to see that.
You see everything, the Krishna and everything.
So we're trying to be, but because we're still trying, sometimes we're critical of others, we abuse others, we exploit others, we're envious of others, we're not friendly to everyone like that. So we're still, on the way. We've still got a way to go. But at least we're trying to be a devotee, so that's still a good credit. So anyway, there was some bad behavior there. So he went into Prabhupada's room one day and said, Prabhupada, I came to this movement thinking it would be a spiritual movement. But actually, there's a lot of discrimination in this movement, because I'm black, devotees, saying so many things. And he was expecting some sympathy and empathy from Prabhupada. But did he get it? Not the way he expected, because normally you'd expect, right, that it'd say, oh, I'm very sorry to hear that, there's all kind of, we try to, make, what do you call it? You try to patch it up and make it seem better or whatever like that.
Did ever Prabhupada get discriminated?
He had so much discrimination against him.
Really?
Yeah, so much. From his godbrothers, hassled him so much. He got so many hassles from his godbrothers. Because he used to be a family man, a grihasta. So most of his godbrothers were sannyasis their whole life. Yep. So he would get so much hassles that he was a grihasta. He's like a lowly grihasta. How is he going to do anything? And no one supported him in going to the West and everything like that. And there was an idea that if any devotee or whatever goes to the West, they'll get contaminated because it's like the land of Maya, like that. So anyway, there was so much stuff for Prabhupada too, but he was expecting some sympathy from Prabhupada, like that apologetic or whatever, but he didn't get exactly what he was expecting. What Prabhupada said was that and it's very profound, and we should all think about it very seriously. If you're affected by what they're saying, what makes you any different than them? And that's just brilliant, isn't it? That's just, who says that? That's just far out. Think about it. Someone can call me, oh boy, you're completely a idiot, you know, you're a nonsense, you're a rascal, like that. You're just ugly, and you're stupid glasses, and you know, stupid everything, whatever. But if I get affected by it, and that's showing, you know, the mode of ignorance in them. But if I get affected by that, if I get offended or upset by that, basically they think I'm the body. And if I get affected by that, means I think I'm the body. So, well, that was Prabhupada's point. If you're affected by what they're saying, that what makes you any different than them? You know, that means they are in the mode of ignorance. That's why they're seeing the body and your black body or whatever like that. That means they're in the mode of ignorance. But if someone calls me, you know, you stupid white-bodied person or black-bodied person, whatever, then and I get affected by that, means I'm also in the mode of ignorance. So is there any difference? We're both ignorant. You know, both the person that points the finger and both the person that gets affected by being pointed at, both of them are in Maya. Both of them are in Maya. So that was like a real revelation for him. And I'm sure after that, he was a lot less affected by whatever people did to him, you know, because really
Bob,
whatever's.
Bob, did you ever get discriminated? You are too white. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, you know,
He's better than that.
Hey?
He's better than that.
It goes the other way too. Oh, you're so handsome, you're so beautiful, you're so lucky being white and everything like that, and whatever, you're so educated,
And you
so
pumped up
knowledgeable.
like a pumpkin.
Yeah, so criticism is one side and being praised the other side. If you get affected by that, then you're also in ignorance, because that's all to do with the body. Oh, you've got such a handsome body, such a beautiful body. That's also, if you get, if that goes to your head or whatever, then you're also ignorant person. This has got nothing to do with us. This is just a machine that we're in due to our past karma, like that. So these are very important things. So a yogi sees through all that. This is not important. The body that we've got due to karma and everything like that. What is important is that we're all children of God. We're all part of God. Therefore, you know, if we want to love God, how do we have to deal with all his children?
Love them as well.
You have to love them.
Yes.
If you don't, your love for God is going to, do you know how far that's going to go?
Not far.
A long way.
It's not going to go very far at all. Because I tell you what, if you want to love the Father and you kick his child in the head, how's that going to affect your relationship with the Father? He's going to kick you in the head, you know, and that's the last time you're going to see him in this life, you know. So we have to all be very careful how we treat other living entities. And it said offenses to a devotee of Krishna is 1,000 times worse than a living entity that's not a devotee. But even to a living entity that's not a devotee, that's also an offense. That's called, violence. That's called jiva himsa. So if we act, you know, unnecessarily harshly or whatever to any living entity, whether it's a human or non-human, then there's also, you know, that's displeasing to Krishna because he's the father of them too. But if you do something against a devotee, that's called Vaishnava aparad. So if you do something bad to any living entity, that's jiva himsa. Jiva means living entity and himsa means violence. And then if you offend a devotee, that's called Vaishnava aparad. Aparad means offense and Vaishnava means devotee. So instead, that's 1,000 times worse. So, but any type of violence is very harmful for our relationship with Krishna. Basically, Krishna goes even further away from us than what he already is, which is like that, not so good. So we all have to be very, you know, very mindful of that. You know, if we really seriously want to be Krishna conscious, And if we really seriously want to go back home, back to Godhead, because of course you can't go back to Godhead unless you're Krishna conscious, unless you love Krishna, then if you want any of those things, you really have to get to the point where you're compassionate towards all living entities. And we can look at half a dozen verses at least from the Bhagavad Gita, where it says about the importance of a devotee being compassionate to all living entities. Being compassionate to all living entities. So, of course, every time we move the body, you're squashing ants and so many things. Every time you drink water, there's so many bugs. Every time you breathe, you're breathing so many living entities in the form of viruses and bacteria and everything. Every time you light a fire, you've burnt up so many insects. So, I mean, we're killing so many living entities. Every time I do gardening, I mean, I must be killing hundreds of thousands every day when I do gardening. But, I mean, you're not getting pleasure out of killing. You're not trying to, but it's just what you have to do in order to survive. And some other things have to die. But we're not taking pleasure in that. But what we should avoid is, you can't avoid those things, unavoidable things. But we should try to avoid, that we're doing it for our sense gratification, for for pleasure. You're not hurting others or killing others for pleasure. It's not like a recreational sport. Oh, let me see how many people I can hurt today. It's kind of fun. Like that, I can tell all my mates how many people I abused and exploited. No, it's not. As soon as you do that, then Krishna goes very far away like that. But what about, what about all those ants we squashed and everything like that, walking around and everything? I mean, still, everything has a reaction. So every ant that we stand on, there's a reaction for that. Where's it going to go?
Back to Godhead.
Not really.
What do you mean?
But you got to look at it. That ant will be a human in last life, and you be an ant, and then it just
no, but I mean,
comes around.
Yeah, that's not good. If that's the fact that when I squash an ant, I'm going to become an ant in my next life, well, I'm pretty buggered then. But no, there's a way to avoid that, and that's just by being Krishna conscious. Because if, for example, I'm walking somewhere to do some service for Krishna, and I squashed 1,000 ants, then I don't get any reaction because I did it for Krishna. If I'm driving in the car, like I was with my guru once, many times, but once we ran over a squirrel when we were driving through the forest, and some like chipmunk or squirrel in America or something like that. And, but we're driving to do service, to a temple like that, to go somewhere to chant and things like that. So what happens in terms of the reaction? We don't get a reaction for that. He doesn't get a reaction for that because we're doing it for service. But if you're driving to the pub, to the club, to the casino, then you get it all. You get all the reaction. If you're doing it for your sense gratification, you get it all. But if you're doing it for service, then there's no reaction. It's akarma, as we were talking with Bob before. There's no reaction. And interestingly, as a compassionate devotee, what did he do? I was driving. He said, stop the car, go back. So we drove back, and we found that squirrel. I can't remember whether it was dead or injured. It was probably dead. And then he chanted to it. He chanted over its body. So that's compassion. He wasn't happy at all that we hit it, because he doesn't. And this is what this verse is saying. By comparison to his own self, sees the true equality in all beings in both their happiness and their distress. If we got hit by a car, how would we feel, Bob and Gulshan?
Oh, terrible.
We feel terrible. So you hit the squirrel, how does it feel? Terrible.
Man. Only squirrel knows how bad it's going to be.
No, we do, because it's the same, that if you hit a squirrel with a car, if you hit a person with a car, if you hit a cow with a car, it's terrible. So we can relate to others' suffering in relation to our own. Means, you know, if your body is stuck with had a pin stuck in it, I know that you feel pain, because if I stick a pin in my body, is feeling pain, you know, so I can relate to that. You know, like one time I was with a friend, and he stood on a nail, went through his shoe.
Ooh.
And I felt a lot of pain, even though it was his foot. But do you know why? Because previously I'd also stood on a nail, and I know what it feels like, and it feels terrible.
It hurts.
It hurts. So
somebody said that, oh, the chemo is hard. I said, no. Have you done the chemo? He said, no. I said, you don't know how hard it is.
yeah.
Oh.
So situations that we've been through, we've experienced pain. Therefore, if someone else experiences the same situation, we know what it feels like, right? And the same with happiness too. You know, we've experienced happiness, so some other living entity, you know, we can relate to other living entities' happiness too. You know, I felt really good that time I was hungry and someone fed me. So let me, you know, feed someone else, and then they'll feel really happy too. You know what I mean?
Yep, yeah.
So you can understand others, both happiness and distress, by relating it to your own happiness and distress. Because in that way, we're not different. Also, we both go through happy times and both through painful times. And, you know, we like the good times, and, you know, we try to avoid the bad times. So we know what it's like, and we can empathize. I think that's probably one of the words to use. Empathize with others. Be empathetic or sympathetic. I'm not sure which is the best word to use. Sympathize with others, because we've also gone through those things. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the way a yogi,
yeah.
That's the way a yogi sees things. That he sees that everyone's equal, because we're all eternal souls. That's the same. See, the soul, what is the soul? Every soul is the same in the sense that we're all eternal. Every single one of us. Even the body of a dog or a dung beetle, as the soul is eternal, and it's full of consciousness and full of bliss. So in that way, every soul is equal, and also equal in the sense that we all come from the same source. We are the same Father, and we have the same qualities. What are our qualities? Eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So we all have the same qualities, and we are the same Father. So that's the yogi vision. This is the put on your yogi glasses, as you're going to see everyone is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, and we all have the same Father. We have the same qualities like that. And also, even materially speaking, we can be sensitive to others, that, you know, if this body goes through some happy experience or some painful experience, we can relate to that in others, because we also have experienced those things in this body also. So have we experienced what it's like before we come to Krishna consciousness?
I wouldn't think so.
No, hang on, listen again. I'll try to make sure I'm saying it right. Have we all experiences of what it was like without Krishna consciousness?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Okay. So there was a time when we weren't Krishna conscious in this life, right? For me, I was about 20 years old when I came to Krishna consciousness. So before 20 is without Krishna consciousness. So I experienced that. I've experienced without Krishna consciousness, and I've experienced with Krishna consciousness. Now, guess what was my experience before Krishna consciousness? Was it happiness or was it distress?
Distress.
Distress.
Yes.
I mean, there's some happiness there, but
that'll be
overall,
temporary happiness.
Temporary happiness. It's called Chapala Sukha. Chapala Sukha. Chapala means flickering, just like this.
Yeah.
Just like this. And sukha means happiness. So just momentary happiness with suffering on either side of it.
Oh yeah, comes with it.
Prabhupada he gives an analogy to help us understand what material happiness is. The analogy is a medieval punishment where they would tie the person to a plank, to the end of a plank, tie him to the plank, and they would suspend the plank over water, over a lake or over a river or whatever, suspended over the river. Then they would dunk him in the river, and they would estimate how long he could hold his breath for. So when he was just about to run out of breath, they would lift him up. What would happen when they lift him up? Do you know what he's going to do?
Oh, he's going to be breath very fast.
He's going to take a big breath.
Big breath, yeah. Yeah.
And how's that going to feel when you take that big breath?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But then what's the next thing that happens after that?
Yeah.
Back under. And how's that going to feel? Miserable.
Terrible.
So basically that's what he was explaining is happening in the material world. We have a little bit of happiness, but then it's followed by suffering. And then the suffering is followed by happiness. And what is that happiness? Is that really a positive happiness? As you're gasping for breath after being nearly suffocated, is that positive?
I would think so.
Well, I mean, you could say so, but really what it is, if you analyze it, it's just a temporary relief from suffering. And that's what we call happiness. So that was the point through that analogy. The happiness of the material world doesn't really exist on its own. It's simply a temporary relief from suffering, temporary relief from suffering. Like we go from one lockdown to another lockdown, and there might be a couple of weeks in between.
Yeah.
I think, wow, this couple of weeks is fantastic. I'm free.
But
what is it really? What's that?
Like, it's been 2 years. Like, is the life gonna be normal ever? They just QR code, mask mandate, and this, that, third booster shot. Now, yesterday, Bob, we got the 3 months now. Reduced the booster shot from 4 months to 3 months. Yep. So get ready the jab, third one, and then the fourth one coming as well. Israel is just started having the fourth one.
Why? I mean, why? You surrender. Are you surrendered to Krishna? You're surrendered to the stupid government.
Oh, if I surrender to Krishna, I'll be the luckiest man on the planet.
They're like making you a pincushion. You're going to be like a porcupine.
Pretty much.
You're going to be like a porcupine.
We all are here. Oh, terrible.
Just be careful of the volcano and the tsunami on the way to get your jab.
It's same thing.
I'll tell you what, things are changing rapidly. What? Just been announced by Boris. You know who Boris is?
I know, England. Yeah.
Yep, he's the top man in England.
Yeah.
He said, we're dropping all the mandates. No more vaccine passport, no more work restrictions, no more
mask or
any kind of. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to start happening around the world. So if you can, I would hold off on getting more vaccines in Australia, because it's highly likely everyone else around the world is going to be taking that as an example. And taking courage from that, because what happens?
That the world, we had at the moment tennis happening, that Australian Open tennis, and the world number one, Novak Djokovic, they deported him because he wasn't vaccinated.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just be aware, that things are rapidly changing, and that's what I'm saying. You're dunked under the water, then you're let up for air. So, I mean, that's just the material world. It's always changing like that. But we should just try to be very careful not to get implicated in this cycle as much as possible. And, just try to delay getting more vaccines if you can. That'll be better for your health. And your health is important. Prabhupada always said to devotees, take care of your health. and getting pumped up with all kind of chemicals that you don't know what they're putting there, then that's not necessarily very good for your health. So, just try to delay it, postpone it like that. And I'm sure that within a short period of time, all this nonsense rules and control will be out the window. Because definitely UK is a big player, and for them to have done that, that's going to have a snowball effect many places. And all you need is one. See, what happened was that came as a result of a court ruling that was not in favor. That was not in favor of their stupid rules. So some people have been fighting the governments in court. So using law, and sometimes the governments are losing. So they're having to backtrack. So once you have a court case going a particular way somewhere, then that will be used as evidence in all the other places like that. Because law is universal, right? I mean, the law is for the whole planet, not just for one place. So once the law goes one way somewhere, it goes the same way.
Last year what happened in India? They were not, hospital wasn't coping for that. They were like, the big football stadium turning to become a hospital because amount of population. And the people are dying like a left, right, and center. And that's terrible. Last year, I was just keep calling my family. It's just, Jayanti saying something?
Yes, she is. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't think. You don't worry about it. Yeah, but that's
hard to say what's exactly.
That's part of us being dunked under the water. I mean, there's some unavoidable suffering. Disease is always there. Disease is always there. But there's disease which comes, due to, Krishna's arrangement, and then there's disease that comes due to our arrangement. So we should try not to.
If you remember, it used to come as a plague. Plague. It's just the towns and village and states are just wiped out. If we're talking about 100 years ago, there's no vaccine, nothing. Plague comes that in India, like a whole village is wiped out, whole town is wiped out. Back in we studied in our school in curriculum there how the plague was affecting in India. Because there's no vaccine, nothing. Wiped out the whole town and whole villages and whole place, like their colonies are just trashed. Oh well. Now, what we are, just keep me in the Krishna service. Jab me as many as time you want, but don't let me go away from Krishna service.
I'm also in Krishna service. I'm not jabbed, so
all unconditional Krishna service. Yeah, no condition at all. If they say you have to have a 5-time jab, only condition to have a Krishna service, okay, do me. At least keep me in Krishna service.
Yeah, well, the spiritual master is saying, you're responsible to look after your health, so he's Krishna's representative, so we can take it that's what Krishna wants, So I know there's examples of devotees that they felt so much separation from Krishna, they wanted to commit suicide. They didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah, but, the one lady, the Bhakti Mala mentioned that it was 2010 in France.
But I'm talking about pure devotees, and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and Krishna's pastimes like that. And Lord Chaitanya, for example, he said, it's not your body. Your body belongs to me. You can't just kill it. That your body belongs to me, so you have no right to kill the body. It's not yours. You could kill the body if it's your body, but really, if you think about it, it's not our body. It belongs to God. Everything belongs to God, including our body.
Nothing is theirs anyway.
So, and God wants you. God has given you this body. Why?
Because of the certain karma, we have to finish it up before we drop the body.
Yeah,
you can't go leave
like
that
you
without
said,
you
just
finish your
want
duty.
service. So, really, what this body is given for is to do service.
Yeah.
Because only really in the human body do we have the opportunity to render service to Krishna, and not in other bodies.
Yeah.
So, the specialty of this human body is to render service. So, and you can only render service if you've got good health. So yeah, Krishna wants us to try to keep our health, and it's not necessarily automatically that just doing whatever governments say is going to be good for our health. So we have to use some discrimination. You can't just blindly follow these people. Just because they're in an authority position, it doesn't mean necessarily they're our well-wisher and a true authority. I mean, Prabhupada summed up modern society as the world of the society of the cheaters and the cheated. Do you want to be in that? You know, so you have the global elite and the governments and so forth, they're the cheaters, and you have everyone else, the stupid public, you know, cheated. You know, so do you want to be in that? Is it good to be a cheater? No. Is it good to be cheated? No. We should be out of that, you know. So
sometime of the life we have to take the doctor's advice. Like, you know, all your 80 years of the life you can't be to the doctor. You definitely will some stage you need the doctor's advice, and he advise you take a special medication, and then we gotta be like, what?
Yeah, but still discrimination is there. I mean, very rarely I've gone to the doctors, not much, and sometimes
it's not a question of really, or it's not a question of often, but did you? That's the question. If you did 1 time or 3 times, it's just the same thing. Sometime in the life, that Prabhupada say that old age disease is part of the life. What can you do? We gotta go to the doctor. And then because
I mean, disease is compulsory, but going to the doctor is not compulsory.
But then,
you know, like
if
previously,
you go to the doctor and then you get a little better, you can do at least service to the Krishna consciousness. If you don't go to the doctor, you'll be deteriorating, and then you can't even do the service.
Yeah, but some people go to the doctor and the doctor kills them by his operation. Or there's so many examples.
What's right, what's wrong?
I'm just saying, you know, you can't take it in an absolute way.
Yeah.
I mean, just like there's good mechanics and bad mechanics, there's good doctors, bad doctors. Yeah. There's real gurus and there's cheaters as well, pseudo gurus.
Plenty in India.
So I'm just saying, you have to use your God-given intelligence. Don't just, this is my government, I have to do everything that they say. No, why? You know, if they're telling you wrong things, then don't do it. You know, so we have to use our God-given intelligence and not just blindly follow. You know, and so many times Prabhupada criticizes blind following. So we don't want to become blind followers. That's why we're reading Bhagavad Gita and Ishopanishad. Everything is to give us a brain, to know what to do in different situations. So we have to be very careful to use our intelligence Krishna is giving us and make the right choices. And Prabhupada pointed out to one devotee said, if you don't know what's the right thing to do and what's the wrong thing to do, how do you know what to do and what you're doing is the right thing? And Prabhupada said, if you don't know what's the right thing, what is the wrong thing, you will do the wrong thing. It means if you're in ignorance and you don't have the full picture, if you don't have the full knowledge and you make a choice, it will be the wrong choice. So that's what happens. We have the majority of the public are in ignorance and they're making choices, but those are all the wrong choices. You know, and so what we're trying to do in this is try to get knowledge so we can see the whole picture and start to make the right choices. You know, start to make the right choices. So otherwise, what's the difference between us and everyone else? If we just do the same stupid things as everyone, well, what makes us? What's a devotee mean then? A devotee means there is differences, because we follow Krishna's direction and his representatives, not any other idiot. We don't follow idiots. We don't follow demons. I mean, you can read it in the Bhagavad Gita in the 16th chapter. We're completely opposed to demons. And the world is being run by who? Are they devotees? They're demons. No. They're fully demons. Of course, we're living in the country that they think that they're in control of. So, you know, we have to toe the line. but just the bare minimum. We keep our head down low and try to stay out of their line of sight and try not to create any waves, but we avoid them as much as possible, like that. And that's why Prabhupada wanted simple living, high thinking. So
we can't fight with them. We're not gonna win.
No, you can't fight with them. Prabhupada explained that too. The demons will fight amongst themselves with other demons, and they'll kill each other, just like the battle of Kurukshetra, right?
Yeah.
Krishna got all the soldiers together on the battlefield, and they killed each other. And who's left? Just the devotees. Yeah. 5 devotees were left. Everyone else dead. All the other puffed up Kshatriyas dead, and 5 devotees left alive. So that's the thing, we don't have to fight with them, because they'll fight each other and kill each other, and then that's it, and then the devotees will be left. So, but we don't want to get sucked in like that. So I'm just saying, we can apply this to anything, not just the modern thing with COVID, but we have to think about things carefully. That's the whole idea. You get this knowledge, and then you use it to make a decision in your life. Don't just blindly do anything without thinking beforehand. Is this the right thing to do? Is this what my guru wants me to do? Is this what Prabhupada wants? Is this what Krishna wants? We have to think very carefully, like Arjuna was. Okay, we're here on the battlefield fighting. Should I fight? Shouldn't I fight? Okay, I don't want to fight, but Krishna wants me to fight, so I'll fight. So that was the knowledge he had at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. But so we should also have that, we should have that knowledge, and that will help us. That will help us. Okay, so we've got a few more minutes. Let's read the purport. Let's read the purport. I'm going to tell you one more thing about this, that talking about happiness and distress. The citizens in every country on the planet are in so much distress. Now, whose responsibility is that?
President or Prime Minister?
It's the leaders.
Yes.
If the leaders' responsibility is to make sure the citizens are happy. Now we have this, the result is that the citizens are all unhappy. So who's responsible for that? It's the leaders. So we know the leaders are bad leaders. They're bad leaders.
There is a citizen's responsibility as well. They're materialistic. They want too much. That's why they're unhappy. That's if there is a
but whose responsibility is that the citizens are materialistic? That's also the leader's responsibility, because the leader's responsibility is to make sure the citizens are Krishna conscious.
Citizen wants too much freedom, like in America, freedom. Like they don't want to listen to anyone. So when you have this kind of freedom, you go more materialistic. And then
no, but the way we learn is by role models, by example. If the leaders are an ideal example, good role model, then people will follow that. It's like the music stars, Bollywood, Hollywood, everything like that, rock stars. People see what they do and they follow the same thing. If they smoke a cigarette, then the people will smoke a cigarette too. But if they chant Hare Krishna, then the people will chant Hare Krishna too. I'll tell you what, when the Beatles chanted Hare Krishna,
how
many people?
Chanting. Yes.
When George Harrison and the Beatles sung My Sweet Lord and said Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, millions and millions of people followed that. So the most important thing is the leaders. If they're spiritually minded, then the people will become like that too. But if the public are all materialistic and godless and atheistic and everything, that's also indicative that the leaders are very bad. So then why are we following them? Because they're going to lead us into more and more suffering. So that's the thing. We have to try to have some degree of independence as much as possible. Otherwise, we're going to be suffering too. And it's just sad to see more and more people are suffering by following these bad leaders, So we just have to be conscious of that. And then we feel bad, like it's saying here, the true yogi, by comparison of his own self, and both their happiness and distress. So when the yogi sees that that people without Krishna consciousness are suffering and distress, he feels bad. He feels distress. Personally, he's happy because he's God conscious. Personally, he's happy, but he's unhappy because others are unhappy. So what does he try to do? See, personally, the yogi has no problem because he's meditating on the super soul, or he's chanting Hare Krishna, he's taking prasadam, he's happy. However, he sees that other people without God consciousness are unhappy. So how does that make him feel? Unhappy. So as a result of that, what does he do? What does the yogi do? Or what does the yogi should do?
He's avoid.
Not avoid.
Like avoid the materialistic people, so he'd be like,
No, he doesn't. No, that he sees that they're unhappy, and he knows from his own experience. I wasn't Krishna conscious before. That's what we were talking about before. I wasn't Krishna conscious before, and I was miserable. I know what it feels like. It's a terrible feeling. So what am I going to do about that?
You're saying lead by example?
Yeah, try to help them. I'm so glad that one devotee named Petrarca picked me up out of Maya when I was 20. I thank God for him coming and saving me every day. If he hadn't come out and helped me, I would still be in the gutter somewhere. So then I think, well, I know what it felt like. It was such a horrible feeling, loneliness and boredom, oscillating, and just anxiety and fear, all these things all the time.
Uncertainty.
What's that?
Uncertainty.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, and you're worried about that because that unknown, like that. So much fear, so much anxiety. We know what that feels like. It's terrible. So, and now we're Krishna conscious, we feel so good. We don't have fear, we don't have anxiety, all these kind of things are not there anymore. So out of compassion, that the yogi goes out and tries to lift up people by educating them in Krishna consciousness, spiritual knowledge, just like the person reached out and educated me. So, we should reach out and help others, by distributing prasadam, like what you're doing at the Bhakti tree, or at the farm they're doing that, by chanting Hare Krishna on the streets or wherever like that, by distributing books like that, giving people knowledge, real knowledge like that. So this is how a true yogi, how they see, how they feel, how they tick. They feel bad, that others feel bad. And they know how good it feels being Krishna conscious. So they want to try to give Krishna conscious to others. If you don't feel that, you're not going to preach. Simple. If you don't feel others suffering, you're not going to give Krishna consciousness. That is the impetus to give Krishna consciousness. Because if you think someone can be happy without Krishna consciousness, are you going to preach to them?
Well, if they'll, yes, certainly.
No. I'll say it again.
I missed this.
Yeah. If you think anybody can be happy at all with no Krishna consciousness, would you reach out to them? Would you try to preach to them, give them Krishna consciousness? No. But we are convinced that nobody can be happy without Krishna consciousness, whether they are Bill Gates, whether they're a millionaire, or whether they're poor, or whatever, any condition. Because we were not Krishna conscious also, and we were not happy. And it's the same for everyone. When you're not Krishna conscious, you're not happy. And when you are Krishna conscious, you're happy. So we have experienced that now. We know what it's like being not Krishna conscious. If somebody is very happy, we know what it's like being Krishna conscious.
If somebody is very happy and make them miserable, then teach him Krishna consciousness.
No, it might look like other people are happy, but that is a sham. That is a show. You know, behind the scenes or in their heart, there's so much anxieties there. They're always striving for more and more money and more power and everything like that. That's anxiety. They have so many anxieties and fears. Externally, they might look really good and everything like that and put on a smile and everything, but it's just a show. Without Krishna consciousness, nobody's happy. Nobody's happy. And if we don't realize that, then there's no interest, there's no impetus to try to help others. But when we understand that without Krishna consciousness, then nobody's happy, that is the reason, that's the impetus to try to help others. So how much Prabhupada realized that he left his comfortable position in Vrindavan in India, you know, to help, because he knew, even though it was presented that, oh, America is the best place to be, it's such a fantastic place, everyone is happy there and everything. But where did Prabhupada go to preach?
America.
But you could say, why go to America? People are already happy in America. They got heaps of money. Why do you should go preach in Africa? You should have preached in Africa.
Because the
why
world
did you
will
preach in
follow
America?
because the world will follow West.
No, that's there, but actually Prabhupada knew that the people in America are unhappy.
Yeah.
They're suffering. Do you think that if you have $1 million and a fancy house, fancy car, and a latest mobile, that makes you happy?
Not at all.
Not at all. We know that because we've had all those things.
If money makes a happy, the millionaire people, they want suicide.
That's right. And then so we know. So that's it. We have to understand. We have to feel others' happiness and distress, just like our own. Just like our own. That's real knowledge to see in that way. Just like I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to suffer. So why should we do that to anyone else? You know, I want to be happy. It's good to be happy. So I want to give that to others. So the real happiness formula is Krishna consciousness. And forgetfulness of Krishna is suffering. You know, so therefore the devotee always tries to share Krishna consciousness with others. That was the impetus for Jesus, to risk his life, to try to connect others with God. You know, and that was the same impetus for Haridas Thakur, follower of Lord Chaitanya, who risked his life to spread the glories of the Lord. You know, and the same for Prabhupada, risked his life. He had 3 heart attacks just, you know, straight away. You know, so risked his life, you know, to try to help others get free from distress.
I felt so sorry for him when his computer and all his books were stolen, not long after he got to America.
Yeah, that was actually, they didn't have computers then, but that was a typewriter.
Typewriter, sorry.
Typewriter, yeah, that was a typewriter, yeah. That was very important. And the books, yeah, books. Yes.
Because he really did struggle that first 12 months.
Oh, yeah, Krishna was really testing. And Krishna was showing the world what is the quality of his pure devotee. So determined to follow the spiritual master, so tolerant of suffering, you know, like that. So Prabhupada, Krishna was glorifying Prabhupada by putting him through all that. Yeah, unfortunately time's run out and we haven't read the purport, so anyway, we'll read it next week, so no probs.
Thank you so much, Abhay.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Prabhuji, is your daughter HSC this year?
She's going to university this year.
Oh, so we got results yet?
Yeah, she's got 2 scholarships.
Wonderful. What's she doing?
She's doing a degree in architecture.
Wow, awesome. Because here as well in Australia, HSC result came today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my daughter was the HSC too.
Oh, great. Oh, fantastic.
She's got a good result actually. She's got an 85.7 in ADA. She's going to do a law and forensic.
Wow.
Wow.
Sydney
What's-
Uni.
What forensic law?
Serious
No,
stuff.
it's a law and forensic combined, 2 degrees.
No, but what's forensic science you're talking about?
Forensic science, yes.
Okay.
And the law, 5 years. So she's
Wow.
gonna go UTS in Sydney.
Heavy duty.
So she's just, was telling this morning. I knew that 20th today the result was releasing for today in the HSC results.
Yeah.
So I said, well, wonderful,